Now here's some news about Foralumab, and I wanted to get this out fast. Hello and welcome to another episode of You and Me and Multiple Sclerosis. My name is Pam and I've been living with MS for over 40 years. And like many of you, I have been watching the development of this drug called Foralumab, which is a nasal spray that is targeted specifically at non-active secondary progressive MS. They are just now starting their phase 2A clinical trial. And that's pretty exciting. So I wanted to share that article with you and also link to the clinical trial so that you can get involved if you want to. But let's go ahead without further delay. Let's look at what the article has to say. Well, this is pretty neat. Foralumab phase 2A trial starts dosing patients at Yale MS Center. Study tests nasal spray in people with non-active SPMS. And it was posted on March 28th of 2025. A multi-center phase 2A clinical trial testing Tiziana Life Sciences Foralumab nasal spray in people with non-active secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, or SPMS, has dosed the first patients enrolled at Yale MS Center. The phase 2A study, and there's the number, is assessing the treatment's safety and efficacy against a placebo in up to 54 patients. Patient dosing started in late 2023 at Brigham and Women's Hospital of Harvard Medical School in Massachusetts, and Tiziana announced late last year that the trial was expanding to 6 other U.S. sites, including Yale. Non-active SPMS patients ages 18 to 75 are being recruited at 5 sites. We are pleased to announce dosing at Yale in our multi-center phase 2 trial, an important milestone in our efforts to address the unmet medical needs of patients with non-active SPMS. William Clemente, PhD, Chief Development Officer at Tiziana, said in a company press release. This trial represents a significant milestone in our clinical development program for intranasal Foralumab and underscores our commitment to advancing innovative treatments and immune-based approaches for autoimmune diseases. The trial is expected to be completed by the end of the year, and participants may choose to enter an open-label extension study, and there's the number, in which all will be treated with Foralumab nasal spray for 6 months to assess the treatment's long-term safety and efficacy. We had talked about that before, that everybody's going to get some dose, whether they're in the experimental arm of the trial or not. They're calling this a potential new option for non-active SPMS, and we all know that that is a phase of the disease that there isn't really much available to us right now. So both for the ease of application and the lack of serious side effects, we are quite excited about this. Foralumab is an antibody-based therapy being developed to treat non-active SPMS, a form of multiple sclerosis with limited treatment options. While several therapies are approved to treat relapsing forms of MS, only mitoxantrone is available for people with non-active SPMS. Tiziana's therapy works by blocking the CD3 receptor protein at the surface of T cells, immune cells involved in the inflammatory attacks that trigger MS. This is expected to suppress the activity of damaging T cells and boost the activity of regulatory T cells, which dampen excessive immune responses. The treatment's anti-inflammatory effects could potentially slow disease progression in SPMS patients, and yes, that's what we're all hoping for. The phase 2A trial is recruiting non-active SPMS patients who experience continuous disability worsening despite standard treatment. Participants are being randomly assigned to receive 3-week cycles of either 50 or 100 micrograms of Foralumab or a placebo for 12 weeks, or about 3 months. The 3-week cycles consist of 1 spray in each nostril 3 times a week for 2 weeks, followed by 1 week of rest. The study's main goal is to assess the treatment's safety as well as its efficacy at reducing the activity of microglia, the brain's resident immune cells that contribute to MS progression, using positron emission tomography or PET scanning. Secondary goals include changes in standard motor and cognitive disability measures, fatigue, and quality of life. Researchers will also evaluate changes in inflammatory brain lesions and brain volume through MRI. The initiation of dosing in this trial marks an exciting advancement in our understanding and potential treatment of non-active SPMS, said Aaron Longbreak, MD, PhD, Associate Professor of Neurology and Clinical Site Investigator at Yale. We look forward to contributing to the clinical evidence base for Foralumab and its potential benefits for patients with this challenging condition. Tiziana is also running an expanded access program, and there's the number there, in which non-active SPMS patients, including those not eligible for the ongoing Phase 2A trial, can have access to the experimental therapy outside of trials. Participants are now receiving the therapy at a dose of 50 micrograms in a schedule similar to that used in the trial. So take heart, even if you can't participate in the clinical trial, it looks like they are making this product available to us, and we might want to look into that. Data from the first 10 participants demonstrated that 80% experienced a reduction of microglial activity and 70% saw their fatigue lessen after 6 months. That is fantastic. Patients' disability levels either stabilized or reduced, with none experiencing disability worsening. Finally, the program is set to include an additional 20 patients. 4 of them started treatment in February. So there you go. Look into that, because we've all been waiting for it. And the sooner they get through this trial, the sooner they'll get that drug to market. And now here's the clinical trial. We'll take a really quick look at that. And here is the clinical trial in question, and you can see that it is recruiting. So let's take a look. Here is the basic information, including the clinical trial title and number and the responsible party. The last update was March 25th of 2025, so very, very recently. I, of course, do not plan to go through this in detail, as I've already said, because I've got the number linked in the description below. You can check out more of the particulars, like the eligibility criteria and so forth. But I did want to let you see here that they've started it in November of 2023, and they expect to complete it in November of 2025. And they expect to enroll 54 people. And here are the contacts. And they say that this study has 5 locations, so there's the main one in Yale. Also one in Baltimore, Maryland. There's also one in Boston, Massachusetts, and in Worcester, Massachusetts. And in Pennsylvania, they've got Philadelphia. And so if you're not in one of those locations, I'm afraid that you're out of luck. But it is nice to know that it's moving forward. Okay, now this is going to be very short. I'm not going to spend a lot of time commenting on this because I want to get it out quickly. But I will link to my earlier videos on Foralumab because I know a number of you have said that you are pretty excited about this. I didn't want to wait to get this out. So until my next video, keep taking really good care of yourself. But if you get involved in this trial, I would really love to know.